right. We're live, baby. We're back. We are back. We are in the Dallas, Texas office. No longer in Florida.
Dude, I moved here like 5 or 6 months ago, and it's just been lonely without you guys.
Just waiting for the squad to return.
I finally was able to get up. I've known I wanted to move here for like 2.5, 3 years, and then I finally got to like 6 months ago, right after y'all left. So sometimes I'll just drive by to see if Adam was here or anybody, and it was just no one.
Ghost town.
Everyone was gone.
Drive by, look. You're like, no, empty parking lot.
I was like, man, I can't wait for them to come back. So it's awesome that you guys are back.
Yep.
And the guys that aren't here yet, y'all need to get out here, man, because it's awesome here.
Dallas is the place, baby. This is the home base before we go out and sell in the summer program. So we got we reset up the podcast in the office here. So how's it look?
Yeah, it's
New
sick.
studio looks good.
I mean, of all the people in Vivint, you are making the most of what you got here, square footage wise.
Yeah, we're in like a
Nobody's done this.
10 by 10. 10 by 10 room right
You're
now.
leading the way, man. I mean, this is such a useful space, and I'm kind of thinking, man, the way we do this is we just update our lives, what we're doing in the off season, talk about what's going on with the guys. We have so many guys and so many cool things going on with them. Some guys made their first $100,000 a few days ago. Some guys made their first $30,000 a year when the backend checks hit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to kind of tell their stories, and then they can rotate in and sit in this seat and talk to you about it.
Yeah, we'll touch base with all the guys, kind of get their summer experience, the highs, the lows, what they're investing into right now, what they're doing with their money, what they're spending it on, right?
Yeah.
Some guys are spending it on some dumb stuff already. I think Nick's...
What have you seen?
So Nick's been to the casino at least 3 times.
It's crazy, bro.
He's been out.
It's crazy because if you do want to gamble, just copy because what I'm doing is winning.
Yeah.
Like, this is a rare time in history. We'll look back. We'll be like, oh, dude, yeah, the first couple of years, we killed these apps. So it's like, if you do have an itch to gamble and you want some action, like, just copy what I'm doing. He would make money. But you go into a casino, the casino.
He likes that rush.
The way it works is casinos have this business dialed in to where they can't be beat.
Yeah.
So you go to Vegas, wherever Nick's going, the Indian casinos, Native Americans out in California, you're not beating them, man. But these new startup apps, they know that they can kill people, and most people lose. But like, there's techniques I'm using to beat them. So that's nuts. But whatever.
We'll talk to him. We'll talk to Nick.
He's doing what.
But so recap us on what you're doing. So you've been getting into the sports betting world.
I mean, yeah, I'm deep.
You've been in it. You've been in it for a while, but recently popping off.
You could go back to when I was selling Vivint. What I would do before the team meetings in the morning, I would post a free pick video. So like, I was doing that, waking up early. You know, when you're knocking in the summer, most of us, even myself included, you wake up right before the team meeting. So what I would do is wake up like 30 minutes before the team meeting, do my free pick video, click upload. It's uploading while I'm at the team meeting. So I'd been doing it before Vivint, and then it blew up. But yeah, I've been doing my best year this year. I'm going to hit $1 million. Just barely clear 1 million, so it'll be my first $1 million year, 2023.
Freaking go, dude! That's
this
huge.
bump. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm getting numb to the money and stuff, and just like constantly, just fucking every month trying to figure something. You get numb to it, and you think back, you're like, damn, this is crazy. But I'm buying a ton of rental houses, and there's huge tax benefits to real estate, which is what really drew me in. But then also just looking at American society right now and like the prices of housing, like me and you, we would talk about real estate back in 2020 when I was like your go-to guy selling Vivint. And we both were like, there's no way that these prices won't come down. They're so high. And then now you look at them, they're like double what they were when we were saying they were so high. It's like, damn, bro, it's just crazy.
Yeah. It's hard to know. It's hard to know what the market's going to do, but I think the overall consensus, at least what I've seen, is just buy, just buy, just buy and hold. Like, don't sell. I've had 2 properties that I purchased and sold, and dude, I just wish I would have held on to them.
I know. We have to learn from this and fix it though going forward, because
But why didn't anybody just come to me and be like, bro, don't sell your properties? I just needed an old dog to come up to me and be like, dude, learn from me. Do not sell your properties.
I've heard him say it, and it's boring. You know, it's textbook. It's boring advice, but yeah.
I think when I was in my 20s and I bought my first property, so right after my very first Vivint summer, made $89,000 in commissions. I'd never made that much money before. I was 22, and I bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath condo, brand new build, $150,000 was the purchase price. And dude, lived there for like 2 years, and it appreciated a little bit. Market was kind of stagnant, but I think it got up to like where it was worth like 170, right? So it appreciated a little bit. But dude, I had this lady that lived below me that was just crazy, dude. I couldn't, like, she was making my life like a living hell to live there. Like, I couldn't even turn I'd be watching Sunday football. I couldn't turn the volume past 10 on the TV without her like freaking out, calling the cops on me at like 6 p.m. for noise complaints. And it's just me that lives there. I'm like, how am I making enough noise to where you have to call the cops? Like, it was such a nightmare. So I ended up selling it, which I wish I would have just rented it out and hung on to it. But, and then so I sold that place, and then we built the house, like 4,000 square feet, big house out in Utah, like right at the base of the mountain. Got that for $350,000, brand new build. It appreciated $100,000 in 2 years. And at 20, I think I was 26, 27, probably was 27 at that point. And I had $100,000 in equity, and dude, $100,000 at 27, you know, I was like, dude, that's some extra cash, you know? And we were making the move to Texas anyway. So I was like, yeah, let's sell. We'll use that money to help us with the move to Texas. And looking back now, I'm like, should have just rented it out, dude. I should have just held on to it and put it as a rental. So, I mean, you look back, you learn. And that's part of being a good investor is you've got to take some L's. I don't care how much money you invest and how good your track record is. Like, if you don't take some L's, you're not going to be a good investor.
Yeah, it all averages out to where you're winning. I take so many risks with investing. I'm like the most aggressive investor that I've came across, that probably you've came across too.
Yeah.
But you got to look at like,
it's true. You've made some crazy ones.
Whenever I hit these wins though, they're freaking massive. So they outweigh, like, one win can outweigh like 7 losses with a lot of the stuff I'm doing.
It just takes one big win to make up for it.
So you got to do high volume, educated guesses, but don't just do 1 or 2 and then be like, oh, I'm 0 for 2. Do 20 of them and then be like 3 for 20, and it, you know, but yeah, with these houses, it's going to be crazy. And I met with my accountants, which is the same that Adam and Braun use, and they're super sharp. So anyone listening to this that hits $250,000 a year probably is when start hitting them up. But the amount that I'll save off getting rentals is crazy. And then same thing, like what you've learned, I've learned with my houses, where I'm like, they're just going up long term. So I also feel, and I don't know if you think about this much, but I look at how like California is, and there's several countries around the world where no one even thinks about buying a house because it's so expensive, and they just know they'll just rent forever. And I think that the whole United States is eventually going to get to that point, and we're starting to see it in Texas.
Yeah,
like I rent the house I live in, you do too, because you save so much money renting. But at the end of the day, if everybody's renting, and then you have BlackRock and Vanguard and stuff like that buying all the houses, we're going to be in a point where nobody's even thinking of buying a house. And the only people that own houses are people whose grandpa, which is us, people our age, you know, maybe 20 to 40 right now, we're smart enough to buy 15 or 20 of them. But I don't know if you've thought of that.
No, I have. I've seen people talk about that is the United States turning into a rental country, you know, where majority of people have to rent. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But I think if you got some money, I don't know, this isn't financial advice, but probably should get some real estate while you can. I don't know.
Yeah, and I am in a spot where I'm not trying to predict the market at all. I'm just trying to get as much as I can. And next year, like if the prices went down, if interest rates keep going higher, the prices could come down, then I'm in a position to buy even more next year. So I'm going to dollar cost average it, whether the prices go up or down. I'll buy more next year and just keep buying more each year. So it's not like I'm just all in, although it does feel that way right now for me. It's like I know more money's coming each month, so I can just get more in dollar cost average. Yeah. But yeah, dude, I had 4 houses under contract. 3 were $290,000, and then 1 was $375,000. And then the lady that had the ones that were slightly under 300, she had 2 more. And I was like, I'll buy them if I can. And then, you know, the new builders were trying to push me to their lender, but their lender didn't understand how to see a business owner's taxes and like count everything.
Yeah.
Because I depreciated my income last year so that I didn't have to pay much in taxes at all. But then most lenders, like 4 out of the 5 I've worked with, could see it right away and were like, oh yeah, your debt to income's good. So I ended up getting 2 more. So I'm going to close on 4 this month and then 2 in December. So I just got to get those down payments ready.
Yeah.
I probably have exactly enough now, but I'm really pushing hard to make cash just so that I know that
Ready for it.
Don't have to stress, you know.
That's awesome, dude. So you're looking, most of them are new builds, you're thinking?
They're all new builds.
They're all new builds.
That's all I'm doing.
That's cool.
Because I got an older house and shit goes wrong with it, dude. Like my Airbnb, it's remodeled. It looks like one of these shows on HGTV that's like built in 1950, but it just looks fucking dope, like perfect.
Redone, yeah.
But shit comes up in those old houses because they were built 50 years ago. So that one was built 73 years ago. But like,
wow, 73 years ago.
I mean, it's built in 1950.
Oh
so,
wow, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
Crazy.
old. But yeah, I'm selling that one now too, and then I'm gonna 1031 exchange it into just new build, long-term rentals, get a property management company, and get it on autopilot pretty much.
Yeah.
But one thing I did want to talk about to the people listening to this is like what it takes to buy that first house, like what you need to get approved to purchase it. Because my whole life, I always knew I wanted to buy a house and buy rental houses and stuff. But I always thought in my head, okay, I just need a down payment and I'm good.
Yeah.
So you can, if you
a few other boxes to check off there.
Yeah, if you want to talk about those, or
yeah. Well, I mean, with your experience, I mean, I know if you're a 1099 employee like we are, you know, we do contract work, so we're 1099, so we've got to show 2 years of taxable income. You know, your debt to income ratio has got to be good. Credit score's got to be at least in the 700s, right? So.
Yep, and debt to income ratio. Do you know how that's calculated?
What's the math on it?
It's just the monthly debt and the monthly income.
Right.
So if you have credit card debt, student loans, if you bought a car, right, that car payment's going to go against your monthly income. So say your car payment's $400 and the house you want to buy cost $2,000 a month, right? That means you have $2,400 in debt to buy that house. They usually want to see you make over twice what the debt is. Mm-hmm. So if your total debt, if all you have is that $400 car payment, and then you're trying to get a $2,000 a month house, which honestly, even the cheap houses I feel like are like $2,400 a month now.
Yeah, at least.
So say you have $3,000 a month in debt, they're gonna want to see that you make $6,000 a month in income, meaning 6 times 12, you will have needed to average $72,000 a year the last 2 years. So if you're a sophomore watching this, your rookie season you probably didn't do 72 grand. And your sophomore season, you probably did around there, give or take 20K. So realistically, with these Vivint guys, it might be after that 3rd year. But then the other thing is I hit guys up and they're not even doing their taxes.
Yeah,
it's like,
terrible.
Go on TurboTax, click through it, bite the bullet. Like at the end of the day, there are ways to game plan to minimize your taxes, but also like sometimes you just got to bite the bullet a little bit and just pay your taxes so you can buy a house.
It's a game. Yeah, you got to play the game and you got to strategize. You can't just wing it and be like, "Oh, I'm going to get a house." Like it's something you really have to plan for. You got to have all your ducks in a row. You got to have all your paperwork ready to go. We had I think in the sales game, this is pest control, solar, everybody. They are a little careless with their money, right? Because we see the commissions check coming in and a lot of guys don't set aside the money for taxes. Right? They just think that that's just their money. They don't set aside the money for taxes. They don't think about what is my debt to income ratio? Am I showing enough taxable income to qualify for a loan for a house, right? So you've got to be, if you really want to get ahead, you've got to manage your money way better. And there needs to be more education on that. Maybe we can do that. Maybe we can.
Well, that's what we got to do.
Maybe we can help guys out
because you got to think, man. If your goal, and everybody watching this and that works at Vivint, their goal should be, or works in any of these door-to-door sales operations, should be to lead guys, mentor them, and build just a massive army of savages. And what will happen if you don't help guys get on that track day one? You can't really start year 3 to throw it together because it does take a couple years of game planning. Then you're going to lose them a lot more than you would need to. I mean, in door-to-door, not everyone's going to do it forever, right? but you'll minimize the amount of people you lose and the amount of people you retain. Because it's not just about recruiting a ton of guys. It's like, can you retain them and keep them leveling up so that you just build? You look at the best downlines in the game and the best offices and their growth at like these awards where we see all the numbers, and those guys are doing really good at like mentoring and leading their guys so that they keep leveling up.
Yeah, guys don't want to leave. Like, they don't leave companies, right? They leave their leaders. So guys want to be, if you're being mentored and you're being taught how to invest your money and how to level up in life, like, guys are going to want to work with you wherever you go, right? Because they want that mentorship. They want that education that you provide for them.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to kind of tell my story too. When I got into Vivint, my wife and I, we were driving like really beat up cars. And I remember I've only worked one real job for 1 year, which was the Army recruiting. And I got there, and, you know, within the National Guard, people knew that I had won a TV show early in my Army career. Like when I was a private, I went on that MTV show and won 125 grand. So at like the recruiting orientation, it was like 10 new recruiters there. And one of the guys leading the class told my boss, he's like, you know, Dunlap, he won that show on MTV, right? And they're like, tell us about it. And I'm like, yeah, I won 125 grand in the survival show. They're like, what car are you driving? And I'm driving this Honda. Back then, it was worth like $2 grand probably. Like,
and the roof, I think the roof was coming off, right?
Yeah,
like
the roof's coming off. And it just worked. When I turned the key, it started, and that's about all. You know, I had AC. And you got to realize that, like, my net worth and the amount of cash I had, anybody would have been driving a nicer car. And I think it's really important to not get tied to how nice your car. That shit just doesn't matter, man.
Yeah.
And you will see me with the Lambo, and you'll see Russ spends a lot on his cars and stuff, and you have a nice truck. But you got to realize we are all in our 30s. We're a deeper in. And I mean, I don't know y'all's stories with cars, but like for me, I drove cars that I owned cash. Even the van I own cash.
Yeah.
A lot of these cars I own cash. And I joked, I wasn't joking, I was serious, but they thought I was joking about buying stuff cash. Even the Lambo, I'm going to pay that off here soon. But yeah, I mean, I feel like owning cars cash is a good rule of thumb. And I'm the most aggressive investor you'll meet. So for me saying that, it's not a bad idea to own your cars cash. And if you don't have that much cash, drive a shittier car, drive an older car so that you can keep that debt to income really good. And then go buy that first house, because that first house will change your life. And for me, when I got into Vivint, I owned my house. And I went out, and you're like, well, what do you do in the summer with your house? Just let it fucking sit there and make the payments. Yeah. And guess what? My house went up. And this isn't always going to happen, but it went up from I bought it for 250 grand, and I sold it for 450 36 months later, from 2019 to 2022. So yeah, that whole summer I was knocking, I was paying a $1,700 a month mortgage each month. But the house, if you do the math, 200 grand in 36 months, it was going up like 5 or 6 grand a month. So when you own that house, man, even if you have to leave it to go work in the summer, you make the monthly payments, your net worth is going up. Even though your monthly payments on the house might be 2 grand a month for the mortgage, your net worth is still climbing. And then for me, watching these guys find their way to Texas right now, I feel like it would just be nice to have a home base. You have your room and your TV and your workstation and your kitchen, and you can leave and you can come back and you have a home base. Because a lot of the guys are really floating around. They got to do it. You know, they got to grind through it right now. That's where they're at in life. But, man, it would be sweet to have a little home base.
A little home base. Yeah, just to come back. That's awesome. And come back on the car thing. Like, I mean, I've been clearing $250,000 for the last decade, a year, and I didn't really start buying any like nice cars until like year 5 or 6, you know, and it was not even nice, like newer cars.
Yeah.
Like I always just bought, like after my rookie season, I bought a Cadillac CTS coupe. It's a car. Paid like $8 grand cash for it, and it had 50,000 miles on it. Still ran good. Still looked nice. But yeah, paid $8 grand cash, and I still had enough money left over to put a down payment on the condo. So car was paid off. Invested into a real estate year 1, right? So yeah, too many guys are like, I got to drive a nice fancy car, and dude, they're putting their whole entire income into paying for a nice car, and you just don't need to do that.
Yeah, I also wanted to, and I told this to Russ yesterday. I was like, dude, what I did when I was fully focused on recruiting at Vivint was probably the best recruiting stretch you'll ever see anybody do. And I told him, I was like, dude, I did that when had the Honda. And I even used the Honda as a recruiting tool to show people, you know, and attract the right people that thought long term. Because when you're recruiting door to door sales reps here, like you need guys that are willing to work their ass off and understand short term sacrifice versus like long term benefits. And a lot of times the people you attract with a really nice car are the opposite of that. So I don't know if you remember like the stuff we used to talk about, because, you know, Nolan has the Lambo and we looked at him, and I'm friends with Dan. So we would look at those guys, like another guy that used a Lambo to kind of recruit on social media. And I would always tell you, like, that's probably doing more harm than good even. Mm-hmm. It might be, arguably, because if you attract the wrong people into your program, they become a cancer, and then they ruin the guys that were good recruits.
Yeah.
So it's something to think of too. And also I want people to be like, understand what's going on. I make my money off selling gambling picks and gambling apps, right? So the people I'm targeting, the avatar that I'm serving, is people that are into a Lambo on social media. If my main focus in life was recruiting for Vivint, I would just drive a Camry or a Honda or something like that. So that's something that people should be aware of as well. Just understand who you're trying to attract.
Yeah, your target market.
Is this going to attract the wrong people or the right people? And think of that. But ultimately, they should just think about what's best for their life, which a house is going to serve you over the next 10 years a lot better than getting a new car. Drive an old Honda instead of a new Honda. Dude. You know, Jimmy, come on, bro.
At the end,
I'm just kidding.
At the end of the day,
I love his car, too.
A vehicle is a way to get from point A to point B. Now, here's the other side of the argument, right? So let's play devil's advocate. When you're in sales, a lot of guys will say, well, I need to drive a nice car, like we were talking about, to recruit. We've kind of touched on that. But then also there's an argument where guys are like, look, I like a car because of how it makes me feel. And the car makes me as a person more confident. It makes me feel maybe more alpha. I don't know what gives them a certain feeling to be in the car and pull up in the car, how they're viewed. What's your opinion on that aspect of it?
You gotta have deep rooted confidence in yourself, and not let the car affect your confidence levels and how you feel.
Right.
But it is crazy though too, because that Lambo makes you feel insane.
Like how do you feel in the Lambo?
And it keeps you going. So. Yeah. It's balance, dude.
Yeah.
It's a balance, because the Lambo is so crazy that it will make you, for me, it motivates me a lot. And it's like, dude, I know 99.9% of people will never touch this car, let alone go buy one cash. So it sets the tone for me mentally, for sure. Yeah. So when you see people saying that stuff, I get where they're coming from, for sure. Mm-hmm. And then also the other side is, do you really need to get a car to feel confident in yourself? And then also, if you're buying like a new, like $25,000 car or a new $50,000, it's like, is that really putting you over the edge? Because for me with the cars, I went from the lowest to the highest. There was no in between. Because I'm thinking like, you know what I mean? Like a brand, like when I got my Camry, I got the cheapest Camry, kind of used a little, 20,000 miles or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I kind of viewed it as like, why would I get a $60,000 car is not really impressing anyone, because you see them every red light. You'll see a bunch of $60,000 cars. Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you're trying to impress people, you got to go so high with it.
Yeah,
it's almost worth, hey, just get a shit box or get the best thing. But it's a balance, dude. For everyone, it's different. And also, like, you spend a lot of time in your car, going to the gym, going places. So like, I totally get people getting a nicer car too.
Yeah. There's two different ways to look at it. Let's go back on. We kind of skipped over this. I want to go back on it, but we talked about some of our bad investments. So some crazy ones.
Yeah.
You've been pretty aggressive. I think I was a lot more aggressive back in the day too, and some mistakes to look back on. But yeah, if you want to go first, what's been like your craziest L's maybe invest? Because a lot of guys don't want to talk about the L's, but I think it's good to let other people know that, dude, sometimes we've like put money into stuff, and dude, it was a fat L. We learned from it.
Yeah, because I look at my dad, and he won't invest in anything. He's just scared, and like a lot of people are. Yeah. A lot of people's parents probably are too.
Did you work hard for your money, and it sucks to like think it's gonna go well, and then all of a sudden you lose it all, and it's like, dude, I worked super hard for that.
True. I actually look at it the way of like, dude, you worked your ass off. You gave your whole life to your job to get that money. You need to sit down and make a good game plan for yourself. That's how I view it with him. I'm like, dude, it's crazy. You literally traded Monday to Friday every year of your life from like 25 to 55. Now, why don't you sit down for 30 minutes and make a game plan? But a lot of these people just won't. They're terrified. Yeah. It's nuts.
Because maybe they've lost in the past, right? Or maybe
I don't even know. I mean, he hasn't lost anything.
Yeah,
it's just
scared to invest.
It's crazy.
It's a lack of knowledge, right? It's just a lack of knowledge on what to do.
Yeah, the biggest things that I've burnt through money on, and it's hard to even calculate, but like the NFTs I'm down big into that.
That was that was crazy. There's probably a lot of people that lost.
Probably like 70. I mean, I put 80 grand in and my stuff's probably worth 20 now. So it's like probably 60 grand lost.
Right. What was your niche? Like what? I know there's a lot of NFTs. Were you doing like the apes or like?
Well, I was doing the superheroes.
Oh yeah.
Marvel and Disney. So it's Disney. It's Disney. It's like Disney's first ever NFT is that Spider-Man actually. Yeah. Because they own a Marvel. So. For me, that was kind of how honestly, that's the reason my stuff's worth 20 grand probably. And I haven't looked at it. I mean, I bought that more so as obviously I had a chance to go through the roof, but like I wasn't really even tempted to sell because it went up. I put like 80 grand in and my portfolio went up to like $250,000 like the next month. But I was never really tempted to sell because that was more of like to flex and to get into the group with the other people that had it. And network and
that
stuff.
Had that much capital to make those purchases. And wanted to be in that circle.
And then had so much money that when it was worth 100 grand, they wouldn't sell because most people that are like don't have a ton of money, they'll take that 100 grand at that point. They'll cash out. But yeah, that's definitely tough investment. That was a big loss. And you always think back and you're like, dude, that could have been a rental house down payment. And what would one rental house do? It's not going to be life-changing for me, and I'm looking at my situation and stuff. For the average person, that would have been way too aggressive to do.
Right.
But I was able to do it because I had high income coming in, so I knew if worst case it goes to nothing, I'm fine. I can live with it. So you got to be able to go over that in your head. If this goes to nothing, will I be fine? Yep. Yes. And I am.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest loss. And then also was sports cards, the trading cards. That has got, I mean, I don't even know how much I've lost in that, but just the timing. And my biggest mistake was I bought position players in the NFL and I should have bought just quarterbacks. And I also bought a lot of middle level and lower tier stuff. And I should have just like, instead of buying $150 cards, buy one $5,000 card. And we're taught diversify. So like, that's probably what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I should have just gone all in on the high end stuff because the high end stuff with alternative investments, it's a lot safer because the people that are buying that, the people you're targeting when you're looking to sell, they're people that have like infinite money. So like a crash isn't going to affect them as much.
Right.
So like if you're investing in basketball cards, maybe you buy one $50,000 LeBron James card as opposed to a bunch of little $2,000 to $5,000 cards. And I learned from that, and I learned at a young age, and it gives me confidence now where I'm able to do a lot of stressful stuff, like buying 6 houses at once. It is stressful for me, but most people would be too stressful. They wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. So it's getting me comfortable with my risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And things like that.
You've had a very high risk tolerance from what I've seen, just from knowing you. Like you've been pretty like you just go for it. But and that's credit to your work ethic. Your work ethic is insane. Like you can just keep your foot on the gas longer than 99% of the people out there on whatever you're doing, right? Whatever you're doing, whether it's internet stuff, whatever. Like since I've known you, you're just able to just boom, boom. Your consistency is on point, which is awesome.
That's something I've had to learn too, because I get so frustrated watching people. and it pisses me off because I see the potential in them, but then they won't execute. But then I have to say, dude, honestly, not everyone's like me. So I have to just be more understanding with guys. Like, they're not going to fucking sit there and DM 100 dudes a day like I would.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here thinking, bro, you would be rich if you did. You'd be a millionaire in 2 years if you did
dude,
this.
Yeah.
But they won't. And I just have to understand, dude, we're all just wired different. Like, our genetics and our brains and stuff. And obviously I've worked to maximize my potential. So I just want to see guys maximize their potential. But yeah, it's something that I've had to reflect on to try to get less frustrated with people that aren't like pulling the trigger. Yeah. But with the risk tolerance thing, man, I wasn't always that way. I got that way through going through the process, doing research, making moves, and then now I have that. It's earned confidence.
Yeah.
So that's why guys need to, buy your first house, because what's the worst that could happen? If you buy a house, the worst case is not that bad, really. It's pretty safe.
Yeah.
But even if something bad happened, you learn from it, and now you're experienced. And you have experience at a young age, because most of these guys are in their 20s. And most people in their 20s don't have experience going through the process of buying and selling houses.
The first one's the hardest one. Once you get the first one out of the way, it's like, oh, okay, I know how to do it now.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, definitely. And it's always different things. Like you can buy land and build on it, and buy stuff that's old and new build with the new builders. So
yeah.
But I just want to see a lot of these guys. It's probably a good short-term goal for guys that are at Vivint is get your first house, own it, live in it, and then when you're ready to move on and you're ready to leave or something, you can just rent it out.
Mm-hmm. Don't sell it. Don't sell it like I did.
Yeah,
hold on to it.
I sold mine, but I sold mine and I bought 2 more.
Yeah,
so
you did it the right way. You took the money and put it back into real estate.
I think if you do sell it, just keep it in real estate. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean by that. Don't sell it and then just freaking go blow the money, have it disappear over time. That's cool, man. And yeah, dude, your risk tolerance has been super good. But
I wish we mentioned it earlier, but yeah, I mean, right now, just to wrap it up, like this is so exciting because of the time of year, and guys getting their backend check this past week.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an exciting feeling, man. Even though I'm not even part of it, I'm just here to watch.
Yeah.
And hang out with everyone. It's so exciting to see guys get 28K and 20K, and Jaime's his name, right?
Yeah.
Jaime got like 25.
Yeah.
And I went back and looked, and my back end check was like 200 less than his. And I was like, dude, he beat me, man. And he was like, dude, what you're doing now is crazy. But I was like, dude, honestly, look, what you did at Vivint versus me, you beat me by a little, so you're on a good track, man. But that money was huge for me to get 25 grand at once at that time. And it's just cool to see for these guys, and I just want them to check those boxes: good credit score, good debt to income, 2 years of provable income, and then get that house, man. That's such a big milestone for guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. We'll wrap it up. If you guys that are watching, if you want any help or mentorship with investing, real estate, sales coaching, give me a DM, Trent D. Wood, and same with Cody Thrive. We'll put his handle in here, and appreciate you guys tuning in. That's a wrap.